Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Ed's Metalworks. It's been a while since I put a video out. Been busy with a lot of little things, but I guess it's just easier to get the job done than it is to video it at the same time. Sometimes I get a little frustrated with things like videoing. So anyway, we got one going now. I figured I'd bring you along and show you what the process here is on this one. It's I got an old Case 1830 skid steer. I think it's in the 70s model. Don't know for sure, but we got some cylinders to rebuild. So I'll take you along on the removal process and the tear apart and the installation. So we'll get to that now, and I'll show you how I got them out. Well, here is the old Jewel. I got the lift cylinder. This lift cylinder I already have out. I figured after I got that out, I figured, well, I'll make a video of this. But I got to do this lift cylinder. And these tilt cylinders are not bad yet. They're not leaking anyway. But I think being as I got it down and we're working on it, we're going to go ahead and redo them also. Anyway, here's the other one that I don't have out. You can see I've been trying to catch some of the oil as it comes out of there when I operate this. I don't use this a whole lot. It's mainly for snow removal around my property, but the rods look good in the cylinder, so we're just gonna get them apart and find some seals for them. I did look online. There's a couple places that sell seal kits for these 1830 Case uniloader, but we have a real good seal supplier here in town, and then people are really sharp about matching seals up, and they always have a good price on them. So I'll get you set up over here and we'll get this one out. I want to show you one little trick I did to loosen these hydraulic lines. You see I got them marked with colored wire ties, but man, I could not get them loose. But I'll show you what I ended up doing. I'll get it set up here and bring you back. All right, here's my little, what I did is I took a ratchet strap, went around here and held on to the hose end of that connection. And then I was able to, these are loose already, so I was able to get, that was basically just to hold it, because these pipes want to move around and everything. So then I could get two hands on here and give it a good jerk and got it loose. I couldn't, just by putting a wrench on there, using one wrench in one hand and one wrench in the other hand, I couldn't get them loose. So I guess I lose a little strength in my old age, put it that way. But anyway, never underestimate the power of these ratchet straps. They come in handy for a lot of things. Always think of it in the back of your head when you're needing a third hand or something. But on with this removal. All right. Luckily, this machine is set inside a good portion of its life. No, I don't think all of its life, but most of it's been inside. So everything's coming apart pretty easily. You see the pins, they popped right out of there, well greased. Here's the other pin. This pin, somebody's got a little, whoops, a little wild on the end of it for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, we're gonna lift this out of here, see if them hoses come out with it. I didn't want to disconnect it under here because I couldn't get good wrenches on there. Didn't have any room. So I'll set you up over here on the toolbox and we'll see if we can get it pulled out, and I'll just set it on this cart and take it up to the other part of the shop. So let's get to it. All right, here we go. Trying not to make a big mess. Hydraulic fluid everywhere. I don't know, I have to push it out of this cylinder once I get it out of here. All right. Move that up out of the way. Like it's gonna come easily. There we go. Yeah, that was painless. That worked all right. We'll get it up in the other end of the shop and take a little look at it. Alrighty, here we got it up on our welding bench. And if you can see that, has a screw right here, and it does have a couple flat spots on this gland. I think that's what they call them anyway. So I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that this will unscrew out here, but I gotta get some kind of wrench or something. I hate to booger it up with a pipe wrench or anything like that, but I'll show you what I found in my homemade tool junk. I can go over here and take a look at this. I found this thing in my homemade tools, and I think I made it years ago to hold a yoke, universal joint yoke or something on a rear end. I don't know, it's been around forever, but let's do a little measuring here. All right. What do them flats measure? If I can get it on there good. 2 3/8. It was 3/8. I bumped it, but so what's this? Let's see what this measures here. 2 1/4, basically. 2 1/4. So you gotta take a 1/16 off each that side, and that give me my another 1/8 on there. All right. So, and then I think maybe we can get that on there, get the cylinder clamped down good, get that on there, and we can spin that gland off the end of that. So I think I'll set this up in the mill and shave a little bit off each side, and we'll see what we end up with. Alrighty, here we are set up in the mill. We're going to take us a little chunk off of there. Now we're running 450 RPM. We'll just leave it there. My LX329 mill. I don't know, I think it's like a Smithy, something like that. I don't even know what the brand name of it is, but anyway, it gets the job done. Let's take a bit off there, see if we can make it fit that gland on there. All right. This will be hard because I flame cut it when I made it years ago, so. just for curiosity, we'll see what we're measuring in here, where it's cutting. Maybe we will. There we go. Ah, helps you turn it on. Okay. Try to sneak up on this 2 3/8 if we can. 15/64. And we got a ways to go yet, so we'll just shave off that side a little bit more. I'll bring you back when we're done here. That's kind of rinse and repeat, so no sense boring you with this whole thing. All right, we got one side cleaned up nice. Now we're just gonna go this other side and we're cutting. We'll take it to size. You got to be 2.37 when we're finished. Alrighty, we got the cylinder up on the bench here. I left you off when I was making this tool, or cutting this tool to make it wide enough, and my golly, we got it on there. Fits perfect. Anyway, we got her up on the bench, got this cylinder clamped down to hold things. We're gonna try to spin this gland off of here. I already took the little locking screw off, mainly because when I clamped it down without disturbing them hoses, it ended up on the bottom of the cylinder, so I took it off before I clamped it down good. But anyway, I do have an aftermarket or a repo parts diagram of this cylinder, bucket cylinder, I guess it's called, or no, it's called the lift cylinder, but anyway, here's the diagram of the thing. So if I do get completely lost, I can kind of figure out where things go. But they, during assembly, where did I read that at? Somewhere in here, install O-ring and groove in piston. Heat piston ring in boiling water to install in the groove over the O-ring. I don't know, this shows the piston ring there. I don't know what it looks like. We'll get it apart, and maybe we can get it apart and see what it looks like. So anyway, I'll set you up here. We'll try to get this thing going, coming apart anyway. Alrighty. Get our handy dandy spanner wrench. Safety glasses on. Alright. Oh. Gee, that wasn't too bad at all. Yet. It ain't out of there yet. Wrench works good. Seems to anyway. Alright, let's get ready for the onslaught of oil, maybe. Hydraulic fluid. that drain for a minute. I'll go get another drain pan just in case. Round one here. Alright, see if we can. Oh, probably should release these. Get the cardboard here. Take these plugs up, run these caps on here. Alright, let's see what happens. Well, that's some dirty fluid in there. Did clean up the ends, got the ends all cleaned up, but here's the gland. I cleaned these ends all up, both ends of the cylinder. That one's under the clamp, but that oil is awful dirty in there. I don't know why. I'm always changing filter. Well, I've changed it since I've had it. I don't know about the previous owner, but the previous owner was a hell of a mechanic, so I'm sure he took care of it. Anyway, we got that out. Let's reposition things here and see if we can get the nut off of that rod to pull that piston off there. This is a good one. I picked up this cylinder to dump the rest of the oil out, and this spacer thing come sliding out of there. Scared the hell out of me. I didn't know what it was. But it does show up in the parts list here. I guess I should have looked at the parts list a little better, but it's kind of funny. It slid out of there. You could hear it going through the cylinder, and whoop, on the oil it went. Splashed a little bit on the floor, but we'll take care of that. But anyway, that's pretty good. All right, we got the rod clamped to the bench here. I'll take a good shot of that gland, a good shot of that piston, and we're going to try to spin that off there. I don't know how tight that might be, but one thing I want to do is get my phone and take a couple pictures just for safety's sake. It's always comes in handy when you're going back together to put some pictures to the parts, in my mind anyway. All right, get us a good picture. I only see an O-ring on the outside of this gland. Everything else must be on the inside. But alrighty, let's see if we can spin that off there. I don't know what size it is. I got a 15/16 here. Looks like it. See if my electric impact will do it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gee, there ain't much to that piston, that's for sure. I'm really quite surprised how easily things have come apart. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. All right, take this gland off of here. piston over here. Let's gland off this rod. Yeah, here's the couple seals inside here that we gotta try and find, I guess. But looks like there's just I guess it's not really an O-ring. It's I don't know what it is. But okay, we got things apart now. And clean things up, get some seals out of there, and come back and see what they look like. Well, we got all the seals pulled out of here, the piston and the gland. Piston ones don't look too bad, really. These O-ring and the backer ring. The backer ring broke, the O-ring's okay. This seal was destroyed. That's the one I think that was leaking. That's the main seal for the hydraulic fluid. This one is a wiper. I had to destroy it a little bit to get it out of there, but overall, I think we're ready to go see the seal people. Maybe I'll run out and take you along to that. I don't think they'll let me inside with this camera, but I'll show you where we're going. Well, we're back on the cylinder. This is actually a couple days later. I have to apologize. Sorry. I have to apologize because I skipped quite a bit of work here just because I got frustrated and things weren't going right, so I just put the camera down and proceeded ahead. But I tell you what, we finally got it. I'll show you what we had to do here. Here's where I got my seals. If you can see that, Swan Engineering LLC. This is an old school store. I don't know, you can't see a computer from the front counter, so I don't know if they even have a website, but they're like a go-to for linear type seals in this area because they pick up a caliper, they pick up a ruler, they got a couple O-ring cones, and man, they can hit your seals no matter what information you have, it seems like. So anyway, I did get my seals, all except for one. I didn't get one of the wipers, the outside wiper seal here. That's on order. But what happened was once I got the new ring on the piston, I could not get it to go into the cylinder for no amount of money. I have a ring compressor, but it wasn't long enough. Right here, there's a ridge at that line. There's a ridge inside the cylinder where the gland seals against. But I could not get that piston ring past there for no amount of money with this ring compressor. And so what I did is I put the ring compressor on the piston overnight to kind of compress that backer O-ring on that piston ring. And then I come and made this contraption here. Let me see if I can get it out of there. And of course I had to make it in two pieces so I could get it off of here, over the gland and over the yoke on the end of that. But lo and behold, it worked perfectly. It's just long enough to where it goes up and hits that ridge inside that cylinder. And of course you can see I had to turn the ID down, but the OD down, but the ID was perfect. It worked out. But it's just a piece of exhaust pipe adapter. I don't know, from 2.5 to 2 or 2 something like that. But anyway, it worked perfectly. I'd polished up the inside of it good, but man, that piston slid right in there over that groove once I got this inside there. But anyway, sorry I didn't bring you along. Yesterday I even quit early on everything because I got so frustrated with it. It's kind of heavy for me, and I'm working by myself most of the time, so in fact all the time. But we got her in there. It's sliding pretty good. I got to get the gland started in here. Put some oil on that. Good. This is hydraulic fluid. This is the hydraulic fluid that's in the machine. So. Anyway, got that started, but back to my journey with the ring compressor. I haven't tried putting some shim stock inside there. Well, I got the shim stock down inside the barrel of the cylinder between the piston ring and the barrel, and hell, I couldn't get it out. You see, I tore it trying to take it out with a pair of vice grips, so I had to pull it back out of there and go to plan B. I was originally thinking I had a piece of nylon that was big enough to make an adapter like this, but then going through my junk I found this exhaust pipe adapter, and worked perfectly for this. So we're on the road to recovery now. We'll get this gland screwed back on here and put her back on the tractor. Okay, my wrench sure has come in handy for this job. I don't know if you noticed my mess on this bench, but I had about every tool in the arsenal trying to figure out how to get that in there. I knew I needed a ring compressor, I just couldn't find one the right configuration to go down inside there. So of course with my shop resources I was able to fabricate one, luckily. Here's that little screw hole for the locking screw on there. There we go. Alright, I can turn it over and find that locking screw, see if we're lined up. Let me unclamp it down here. I don't know. I suppose I should probably make a new hole because I'm past where it was, so I don't want to go backwards, I don't think. I'll have to read the instruction manual, see if it says something. All right, bring it back. All right, to lock this gland in place, you got to drill a hole for this little screw and halfway in the between the cylinder and the gland. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It had holes in it to begin with, and now that I messed with everything, they don't line up. So we're going to drill. They're on the bottom side, so we're going to drill right here on the top and put a screw in there. I think it looks like about an 832 screw, but supposed to be a, says in the instructions, a number 26 drill bit, 5/16 deep. Drilling at an angle to get it move over there a little bit. Let's see how deep that is. Where's my... So I gotta go a little more. Must be a self-tapping screw. They don't say anything about tapping it. Yeah. Where's my screwdriver? Anyway, my screwdriver. All right, that's that. All right, I think we're ready to go back on the machine, the skid steer. I got to clean up this one pin. Looks like somebody got hammer happy on it. I got to clean that up, the one that goes through this hole in the front, but the other one looks good, so we'll clean them up and get to it. Well, we got her all back together finally. I got my pivot pins cleaned up, and they show a little bit of wear, but shoot, it's nothing for this machine. But so I just got to install it now. I don't know that I'll film much of that. It's pretty much just the opposite of what I did taking it out, and I got to be a little bit of that. But thought I'd talk about some of the tools I used to rebuild this cylinder, or reseal it. I didn't rebuild nothing, I just resealed it, I guess. But One thing is this seal folder. Those of you who know what they do, you stick the seal in here, and then you can fold it over into like a W shape, and it's easier to get down in the hole. That was for the seal inside this gland that keeps the hydraulic oil from coming out of there. That was probably the main problem with this cylinder. That and the wiper seal, which I installed with this little seal bearing driver. This is a Harbor Freight item kit. They make a little kit for them. Also, I used this ring compressor. It didn't work for putting the rod back in the cylinder, which is what I made this extended version for, out of a piece of exhaust pipe. I don't know, I think it was a 2.5 to 2 inch or 3 to 2.5 inch adapter for exhaust pipe, but that seemed to work. That seemed to work pretty well. I had to cut it in half to, of course, get it over the rod after I installed it, but had to do a little bit of turning on this part, not much. It's amazing how close it did fit. Anyway, I used the ring compressor. I put this on the pistons ring overnight to help compress the backer O-ring, and after it was all installed. But anyway, that's a socket driver for this hose clamp for my homemade installer tool. Of course, the big I don't know, flange nut wrench or whatever for the gland, to get the gland out of there. It had 2 flat spots on it, and an assortment of picks, mainly to get the old stuff out of there and help install some of the new ones. I got some of these flat picks. They work pretty good. You can almost pick them up out of there without destroying them with them sharp pointed ones. But of course, a big dead blow hammer to help knock that piston and rod back in there. And an impact wrench for installing the piston on the rod, and a drill with I think it's a 26 drill bit for this little factory lock screw that you drill in between the cylinder and the gland there. But anyway, that and the regular assortment of hand tools is about all was needed on this job. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Sorry I was kind of scattered around, but sometimes in the heat of the battle I don't do a very good job of filming stuff. But I hope you got a little something out of this, and just want to tell you all thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. This is Ed's Metalworks, signing out.